This is the captain. We are beginning our final descent into Casablanca Airport. Cabin crew, please prepare for landing.
The hottest couple in fashion. Brooke and Ridge Forrester. Ridge. How long has it been? 2 months since I saw your face. Touched your hand. You're back home now with your new family. Living a life I know nothing about. Nothing at all. The recent marriage of Ridge and Brooke Forrester has given the fashion industry a new royal family. This dynamic duo works side by side, creating haute couture and a happy home for their 2 children. In a city rocked by recurrent celebrity scandals, the Forresters are a breath of fresh air. This month, the Crown Prince and Princess of Forrester Creations give us a glimpse behind the scenes of their modern fairy tale.
Dylan. Now, look, we've got a long day ahead of us, so just try and relax, all right?
Relax? Are you kidding?
I understand you're nervous. Listen to me. I want you to understand that every member of that jury is going to be watching your every move. It's important that no matter what is said, no matter what happens here, you remain composed and respectful. Try to remember that we pled not guilty, so under no circumstances do you infer that you slept with Jessica. We're walking a tightrope here. We cannot afford one wrong move. You got that? All right.
Hello, boys.
Well, I was wondering when you'd get here.
Sorry. It took me a little time to get the cheering section together.
Thanks, guys. I need all the support I can get.
Don't worry. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah, Dylan, don't worry about a thing, okay?
They're absolutely right, Dylan. You are part of the Spectre family now. We've been doing battle with Forrester for a lot of years. They haven't beaten us down yet, and they are not about to beat us down today.
Sally, I'm going to warn you. Do not disrupt or try and make a circus out of this trial.
Contrary to what you may believe, Stephanie, you are not in charge of this courtroom.
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
What I told you. I don't intend to let Dylan go through this alone. You may have had enough power to railroad him into court, but this is where it ends.
I hope so, for Jessica's sake.
If you really cared about your niece, Jessica, you'd get that Miss Emerson over there to drop this case.
Well, I know you're not working with a full stack. But Miss Emerson happens to be an assistant district attorney. And she's an employee of the state of California. I couldn't do anything about this trial even if I wanted to.
Well, that's too bad, Stephanie. Because at the end of this trial, Dylan Shaw is going to walk out of here a free man. And your niece, Jessica, is going to walk out right beside him. And you are going to be very sorry that you ever started this.
All rise. Please be seated and come to order.
Call the Shaw case.
The People versus Dylan Shaw. Let the record show that all parties are present. Ms. Emerson, is the state ready?
We are, Your Honor.
Mr. Davis, is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Bring in the jury.
What the biggest challenge of her life was, Mrs. Forrester didn't hesitate. Raising 2 kids. Apparently, the leading lady of fashion liked the challenge. She's ready to have another child. What? Another child? What is she doing? Rich doesn't need that. And what about her husband? Is there time for children in the life of the busiest fashion designer in the world? If Ridge had his way, I'd be having a kid every other year, his ravishing wife quipped. Ridge always wanted a family. I couldn't give him that. Brooke can. She will.
Excuse me, my lady. Yes. May I straighten the room for you?
Please.
Are you done with this magazine?
No, get rid of it.
Layla, this man.
It's Ridge.
Husband.
Not anymore, Yasmin. Not anymore.
Mr. Mackenzie, welcome to Casablanca.
Thank you.
I'm Ahmed Namour, Prince Omar's personal physician.
Oh, I hope the prince hasn't taken ill, has he?
No. He's merely been detained with affairs of state. He has asked me to greet you.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually quite flattered. I've never been welcomed quite like this before.
Yes. Well, the prince wishes all his guests to be treated like royalty.
I would imagine that's what most of his guests are.
Yes, that is true. Tea has been prepared. Would you join me?
I'd love to.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have just been sworn in. You will now hear the opening statements of counsel. Miss Emerson for the state. Mr. Davis will address you on behalf of the defense. Miss Emerson.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, opposing counsel. At this point, it is traditional for the lawyers to tell the jury what they expect the evidence to prove. In my case, on behalf of the people of this state, this is a relatively simple task. For the defendant, sitting here before you, clearly broke an important law of this state and admitted doing so. The facts in the case are simple. The defendant, Mr. Shaw, is an adult. He is 20 years old. On August 19th, 1994, Mr. Shaw had sexual intercourse with Jessica Forrester, who was, and still is, 17 years old. As you have just heard, Jessica Forrester is 17 years old. She is a minor. She is more than 3 years younger than the defendant. From the state's point of view, there is and can be no question about these facts. And I am confident that at the end of the case, His Honor will instruct you that if you find we have proved these facts according to the law, then a crime has been committed and you should return a verdict of guilty. Why, you might ask, are we prosecuting this case when sexual conduct involving young, underage girls is the rule, not the exception in our society? Is it because teenage pregnancy has almost doubled in the last decade? Not exactly, but that's certainly one of the reasons. Is it because of the scourge of AIDS? Again, same answer. It's all of these. And most importantly, because we, all of us, through our elected representatives, have decided that we don't want older men taking advantage of young girls, as Mr. Shaw took advantage of Jessica. And at the conclusion of this case, I am confident that you, as the chosen representatives of this community, will agree with the state and return a verdict of guilty as charged.
Even after all these weeks, I thought I could get him out of my mind, but then I see a magazine like this, and I see him with Brooke, and it hurts. I don't matter to him, Yasmin.
That is not true. I am sure that Ridge is still in mourning, my lady.
No, he's not. Let me show you this. I guess I keep wondering if it's all for real, if the shoe isn't going to drop one of these days, because truly, I've never been happier in my life.
Is that wrong? You do not want Ridge to be happy?
Of course I do, but I wanted to be the one to make him happy. I wanted to be the one to give him a family. I mean, look at them. Look at those smiles. Those are real. He's finally got everything he wanted. I know I'm being selfish, but I can't help it. I thought my love for him would die, Yasmin, but it hasn't. It just hasn't.
In time, my lady. In time.
How much time? What, a few more months, a year? I mean, I can't live like this anymore. I'm married to one man and longing for another, and Omar doesn't deserve that. He's a wonderful, compassionate man. And I do care for him, Yasmin. More and more each day I do. But I'm cheating him.
The prince is very patient.
He can't wait forever. I mean, I know that I've made the right decision. If I were to go back to LA, I would wreak havoc on Ridge and the children, but staying here, I can't even make Omar happy.
He's not dissatisfied with you.
No, but he will be. I'm his wife, Yasmin. And I live in this palace like I'm some kind of house guest. Omar wants me to share a room with him. Maybe that would be the way that I could forget about Ridge, if I gave myself to him completely.
Perhaps it is.
I have to do something, Yasmin. This is my life now. Taylor Forrester is dead, and I have to accept that. I have to bury my past and move on.
Mr. Davis, does the defense wish to make an opening statement?
We most certainly do, Your Honor. May it please the court, Ms. Emerson for the prosecution, and last but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Connor Davis, and I am representing Dylan Shaw. Dylan, why don't you stand up so the jury can see you more clearly? Now, we, as attorneys, have the opportunity, the privilege, to talk to you folks in the jury in these opening statements because, as the old adage says, there's always two sides to every story. And in saying that, I must take exception to what Ms. Emerson said regarding the facts in this case. Our job is not to tell you folks what the facts are, but rather to tell you what the evidence will be, what the witnesses will say. Not to convince you, but to prepare you to hear that evidence and weigh it, as is your job, and only your job. You decide what the facts are and what the facts are not. We don't. And there's a simple reason for that, because we weren't there. So we don't know. Only the witnesses do. Your job is to listen to what the witnesses have to say and decide for yourselves whether this boy deserves to spend time in prison. So please, listen very carefully. And when you do, I am confident that you will find him not guilty. Thank you.
Ms. Emerson, call your first witness.
The state calls Stephanie Forrester.
No, Stephanie.
What?
I want to testify first. I'm going to put an end to all this right now.
I'm curious, Mr. Mackenzie. What interested you in this project? No one has ever proposed a biography of our prince.
Well, that surprises me. The prince is one of the most influential and certainly the most popular leaders on this continent. I would think his life story would prove very fascinating for my readers.
Your readers? Then you have a following as a writer.
Oh, I've been published frequently, both in magazines and newspapers in Europe and America.
I see. Then you are a journalist.
I'm a freelance writer.
Would I have read any of your work?
Perhaps. I specialize in personality profiles. World leaders, captains of industry, literary figures. I like to investigate their private lives and their public lives and focus on the roots of their greatness.
Who was the subject of your last profile?
I just completed a paper on David Hume for an English literary journal.
One of your fellow countrymen.
Do you know him?
Yes, I studied him at Oxford. He's a fascinating man. Tell me, what was the focus of your article? His philosophy?
No. No, I concentrated on his wit.
Yes. Hume was quite a humorous man. One does not expect that in a philosopher.
One certainly doesn't.
You must forgive me for interrogating you in this way, but Prince Omar has always been very protective of his public image. He must be very cautious in choosing a biographer.
I understand that. And I can assure you, Dr. Numur, I did not come here to dig up scandal on the prince.
I'm sure you did not. But as you know, authorized biographies have proven disastrous for some royal personages in the past.
I understand his hesitance.
Please do not misunderstand me. The prince is very eager to meet with you. He wants you to dine with him this evening.
I look forward to that.
Well, you have had a very long journey, Mr. Mackenzie. I will have someone show you to your room. Please, make yourself at home in the palace. If there's anything you need, do not hesitate to ask.
Thank you, Doctor. Oh, boy. keep up the charade. Taylor, if you are here, I am going to find you.